When I say that I'm okay, well, they look at me kind of strange. Surely you're not happy now, you no longer play the game. Well, people say I'm lazy, dreaming my life away. Well, they give me all kinds of advice designed to enlighten me. Well, I tell them that I'm okay and I'm doing rather fine. Watching shadows on the wall. Don't you miss the big time, boy? You're no longer on the ball. Boom, 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 boom. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. You know, I love to watch them roll. No longer riding on the merry-go-round. I just had to let it go. Anyways, guys, how are we doing? Are we doing good? I think we're doing good. We got two different streams running up today. We got horizontal and we've got landscape. I don't know what that means, like how that is going to be interpreted by the computer and all of that. Do I have both legs? Is anything broken? Anna, that's a great question. I have both legs. One of them still has a broken bone in it. It's not a major bone. It's the talus bone, which, I mean, that is your biggest heel bone, but it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's not in a hard cast right now. I'll find out literally tomorrow if I have to wear a hard cast for another week or two. But right now I'm in a soft cast because my leg was swelling too much with my autoimmune stuff in the cast. And so it was just getting too tight and they had to cut the cast off anyways. It wasn't really giving support the way they wanted it to. So they put me in like this tight wrap stuff that basically it crisscrosses. It's like a corset for your leg. And it puts your leg pretty tight so that you can't build up swelling or edema as much in down your leg, and then that way in theory the blood flow and everything is stabilized a bit better. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I wanted to hop on a little earlier, about an hour earlier than normal, and just see if it brought out anybody different from the bushes, if we could shake some of y'all loose from a different time zone or whatnot, and just see who was around and all of that. But the chats are separate. Oh, that is yucky too. So I don't know how I am going to see it. Yeah, there are two different streams. I am just trying this for the first time now. It's like how some people do Twitter streams, or rather Twitch streams. Sorry, they do the Twitch stream and then it goes to other places. That's kind of the idea, I think, but it's all through YouTube. And I don't know if some of it's going as like, come on in, we've never met you before. And it's doing that. Like it has the benefit of broadcasting in portrait and mode, or if it's all the same as the landscape mode. So I don't know, but I'm kind of curious. And so I thought I'd try it out. But if it's awful, if you hate that you're seeing it in landscape, then check out the portrait mode. If you hate portrait mode, look for my stream again on my main channel and go into the other one and see if you can go back and forth. I don't know. It said like that it's a new system that optimizes it for whatever device is watching it in theory. But what I'm seeing is my demo for the, well, right here is center, I guess, for both. But literally for the, it's a bad, the way it's cropping the screen is kind of silly in that it's just dead center of the stream and the video and everything, like right as big as my head almost is is all that you can see. So I don't think I love the way that's working out, but I wanted to see what's going on. The chat is separate and it's both different. So the chats are both different. I have a vertical open on my phone now and it's about half a second delay and it's killing me. That's what Mike says. Now, that is interesting. Oh, interesting. it tells me here that like Jody, I think it's telling me that who has it on a vertical versus who has it on landscape. So I think like tell me Aquatic Life if I'm wrong, but I think it means that you have it in landscape. Jody P has it in landscape, and Lisa the Wolf has it in landscape from what I know. It looks like it's telling me that, but I don't know if that's 100% correct. And hello, look, we have a little buddy visiting us. Is she gonna mess up the stream as much as she did last week? I don't know, but she's probably gonna try. So this is Sumi, in case y'all haven't met. She is the love of my life. And my wife. I mean, like, she's the love of my life, but like, she's the love of my life. And you know, she hangs out with me. She does all the writing that you don't like on the show. That's this creature's fault. So if there's any episodes on Fishtoy that you're like, man, that one sucked, that's probably because it was our guest producer, writer, director, and host, Sumi. And you can direct all complaints to Sumi, and she'll also be the one who contacts you or doesn't, according to her wishes, and decides what she will do about the fact that you don't like her episodes. So if you don't like something on the channel, it was Sumi's fault, and she'll be the one who will take care of you when you complain. So yeah, I'm just going to hand that over to her. So Nancy B, what's going on? Got 2 different notifications for the stream at the same time. Okay, that's odd. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how this, I don't know if this even works out, so to speak. It's definitely interesting. We don't have to do it again, that's for sure. I just wanted to see what happened. Jody, come to the landscape side. Yeah, Dagmar Haggerty says that you're also in that in the help. I'm stuck in a cave. Man, it is really narrow. I can't even get this narrow. There we go. My face is like this narrow in the landscape or in the portrait mode. So guys, I know I'm joking around and so forth, but I do have something that I seriously want to touch on, and as you move your head, you aren't able to see it properly. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The way it cropped it down. Let's see. Is there any way to hide? Let me try to change this real quick. The camera. Yeah. No. I don't think it's gonna let me do anything. It's a brand new feature that they just put up today on StreamYard. So I don't think it's gonna allow me to resize it or do anything useful yet. In fact, I think it's pretty bad. Hide preview is all I can do with it right now. Yeah, I can't do much of anything. Manage layouts. Let's see here. Can I do? No, nope, nothing. Okay, I can't do anything. But Skipper, what's going on? Skipper's Aquatics, good to see you, buddy. Elfish, good to see you. Jody P, so good to see you as well. Also, Night Owl Aquatics, Uncle Smiley's Aquariums, good to see y'all. Michael's Music, hey. You learned a lot about planted aquariums from me. Well, good to hear it, Michael. I appreciate it. I'm glad you heard something. Alex, have you ever done immersed plants? Oh boy, have I. Boy, howdy. I have. Look at behind me. Look at these tanks. I always have immersed plants. Now, is it intentional, or is Alex just a lazy son of a gun? I'm gonna say that my papa was a pistol and my mama was a rifle, so I'm a son of a gun. Dang me, they ought to take a rope and hang me high from the highest tree. A woman, won't you wait for me? Beep, 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 boo, doo, 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 doo. What's up? Him Flip, hello. Johnny Best, what is up, my brother? And Ryan Harris, hello, my bro, my buddy, my pal. Good to see you as well, man. Stephen P, unintentionally immersed plants are the best. That's right. Unintentionally immersed plants. That sounds like something like premature evacuation would be my channel name, or something like that, of plants that are like that. Just hopping in to say hello, says Cassandra. The kiddo has an orchestra concert tonight, so we'll have to watch the replay. Well, break a leg at the orchestra concert. Holy cannoli, that's great. I hope that music is inspiring and fills that spot in your life. Music can stick with you for your entire life, from the time you're a little kid to the time you're old and decrepit. So, that's awesome. Hoved Aquatics, what's up? I have 2-year-old, 110 tall. I'm thinking of hooking up CO2. Are there any concerns that you would suggest? Pay attention to being new CO2. So, are you reading chat from vertical or horizontal? I don't know, Robert. You are, well, okay. So you are vertical, I believe. And I think I'm reading your chat, whereas I'm also seeing yes, I agree. This is from the horizontal or landscape mode, which would be yes, unintentional immersed plants should be the name of Steven and Alex's band. What about, I don't know. What about, or premature emergence? How about that one? Or premature evacuation of plants. Premature aquarium evacuation. Chatting from vertical and landscape, both, I believe. But if you don't like the vertical, hop over to the other one. I have no idea how YouTube is going to split up the demographics between this. And that's kind of why I'm trying it. Like, I'm trying, it's a new feature that I'm allowed to do now. And I have no idea why there's if we are showing up. I'm not seeing anybody who is brand new to the community as far as I've seen. And usually when we go with the vertical, there's people just constantly popping in that are just watching live feeds, kind of just bored browsing. And I'm not seeing that right now. So I'm wondering if there's even a point to this layout, unless you're just really wanting to film a portrait style. But yeah, 100% worth testing, 100% probably not doing it again, I think, is the consensus, though. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Fritz Lang, hello. How's it going? So we got some folks in here, that's for sure. What's interesting, though, is I can't at all see how many folks are watching. Yeah, it doesn't tell me how many folks are watching whatsoever. So I have no idea how many folks are watching between the two streams or anything. It doesn't give me a count on each one or anything like that. Very odd. Asya, good to see you. But everybody smashed the little heart on the vertical feed. It gets more traffic in people's algorithm. Yes, Mike, you're totally right. That is why I wanted to try it, is because it is easier to interact with in a share, stumble upon. If you're flipping through shorts, then it's definitely easier in most cases on YouTube to have it in the horizontal, in the vertical. But in the horizontal, that's what everyone wants when they're used to watching live streams and things like that. So yeah. Oh, you have a blue demon baby. Right on. Is that an orange-eyed blue demon baby, Fritz, or what's going on there? How do you do landscape in YouTube? I've only been able to do verticals. So it depends. If you have a phone, it makes you do one or the other. But if you set it up through third-party software like StreamYard or one of the Twitch or any of the streaming platforms, then you can set it up different ways. I have mine right now set up through StreamYard, And StreamYard, it's a new feature as of today where it said, do you want to send a broadcast vertical or horizontal? And that was a choice I didn't have before in StreamYard very long ago. And that just recently became a choice. But then the choice to do both just came out today. So I wanted to try it, but I'm not really seeing anybody new. So I am curious if you guys are watching in the vertical form. So people like Lisa the Wolf is okay. So you're saying person emoji is 26 followed by 19 thumbs up. Well, thanks guys. Appreciate the thumbs up and all that. Sunny G, what's up? Linda Worth, hello. And I don't know exactly. Oh, right. Yeah, Fritz from Michael, the German breeder. Right on. Those fish with the crazy eyes. I did announce this week that Aquatic Arts in America has them. And rareshrimp.com. Now, if you want any of their high-end rare shrimp, including the OG original demon eye shrimp of any color that they carry on the rareshrimp.com site, use the code Fishtoy10 and you'll get 10% off your order. And I'll also get a 10% credit to order some shrimp from them next time it builds up enough, if it ever builds up enough to get an order from them. They have very high-end Caridina shrimp. They have shrimp that run $50 to $200 a piece as some of their rare imports. And they have the genetics mapped out. They have, it's like next level shrimp buying and auctioning. It's like the Christie's auction house of shrimp. So check out Rare Shrimp if you want real high-end stuff. If you're looking for American bred, line bred shrimp, I would go with Grant Eater in the Garden of Eater for Caridina. But if you want Neo-Caridina and wild Caridina things like Babalti, green Babalti, Pinocchio, lace, Amano, the different colors of Amano, that's where I say Aquatic Arts is my best hookup that I've got for you guys, and I think they do a great job. Also, another great shrimp hookup if you're buying domestically in the U.S., for Neo-Caridina only, pretty much. They have a few others sometimes, like crystals, but Moonlight Aquatics. So basically, Fishtoy, the word Fishtoy, all in caps, and then either a 10 or a 15. Try it out. I'm going to try to standardize all my codes for that, so that if you ever see my code somewhere, that is, it will be some version of Fishtoy, the word Fishtoy, and then either 10% or 15%, which is a reference to how much percentage you get off the total figure, So try that out if you'd like. But yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff out there in the world. That is for sure. Have you ever done immersed plants in bins, like a setup specifically for immersed plants? So I have, and hello, Fish Dad. I heard you ran into another friend of ours in the fish store. Then she drove 2 hours or something to the store and ended up running into you, and y'all happened to both know me through the channel. So that blew my mind, and I was very happy that I could be a little missed connection there. Or, well, I guess it wasn't missed. I guess you guys made the connection. Oh yeah, Asha's in both chats now. Wicked Freaking Aquatics. He's gonna be in the he's in the portrait mode, the vertical stream. And then we got Redneck Aquatics and oh, I did. Oh, you see, that's even crazier, Fish Dad. I thought you were working. Whoa. Stay in studio. That it just asked me, are you even in studio? Very odd. Okay, so StreamYard just said, are you in studio? Leaving in, and then it started a countdown of 30 seconds to kick me out. Wow. I will say that in the full video screen. Oh, wait, hold on. Lisa the Wolf says, I will say that in the full video screen in vertical/portrait versus what I'd usually have, a small box with other stuff under it, I do like the vertical portrait view better than usual. Okay. I mean, yeah, to each their own. Whatever you like, let me know, and we'll try to do whatever folks say they like the most. But if I can stream it both and it doesn't matter to anyone else, I wonder if I can stream it, vertically for those of you who are enjoying vertical, and then the larger way. The only thing is if I start sharing the screen today, I knew I wasn't going to share the screen a ton because I was like, I'll do it on a day when we're just going to chat and hang out and stuff like that. But yeah, the aquatic life, also back to your question about immersed bins. There are a number of channels that have done that pretty well. Tanner from Serpa Designs has done that. And you don't need fertilizer. You don't need anything in particular. It helps, and it helps if you know what you're doing, right? The main thing you need is light, and you need light that will get through the top of your Rubbermaid or Tupperware or whatever bin you're using. It could be an old aquarium. And then substrate. But even then, some people will just use liquid water. Obviously, they're not going to use ice or gas. They just use water and liquid ferts. And then that way, it's like a hydroponic setup. And they're growing the plants by hydroponic root setup. And then the plant is in a humid chamber. So you can use something like Akadama or Aquasoil, fill up your Rubbermaid tote, and then just keep it in a room that's warm. Or maybe you've got like a closet where you can put a little space heater, or has like a wall heater that you can stack these bins. The thing is, a lot of people stack them and they'll put the thin lights in between each one. And some Rubbermaid totes even have like notches in them. So I've seen people put the light bar or LED lights even in between the top ridges that kind of stack together. And then they stagger the boxes so that they can still stack it and have light shining in through the foggy, opaque side. Most of the Rubbermaid totes that I see don't have a quality transparency for light to get through, especially the UVA, UVB, if you're using like really good full spectrum lighting. There are two history streams, there are two Fishtoy streams running right now. There are infinite if you believe in the multiverse and quantum physics, but we won't get into all that. Yes, there are two, and there is a horizontal and a vertical stream running at the same time. The vertical stream, I believe, is the one, it's slightly delayed for most people. But it should use up less bandwidth, and it should also show up for those flipping through channels. M&C Aquatics, good to see you. Yes, StreamYard has been acting really screwy as of late. I think they're adding too many features, and they don't know. They don't work the kinks out sometimes before they start something else. So, yeah. Mike says, I think I'm going to go into the light business. They've got you all fooled by the amount to charge for lights. They do that, aren't worth the crap, and they aren't even technically waterproof. Yeah, a lot of lights are way overpriced. The thing is, there are only about 5 LED diode manufacturing plants of note that make 94% or some crazy statistic like that of the LEDs in the world. And CanSun is one that I almost always end up tracing back mine to. So CanSun, and then beyond that, there is a father company or mother company, whatever, that is Cree, C-R-E-E. So there's LG, there's Cree, there's another one out of South Korea, and I can't recall the name of that one right now. But to have true one color diodes, so if they're not diodes that turn colors, like that can cycle through different colors all in one little filament strip, even though I think technically those have different diodes just all crammed in really tight. If they don't do that, then they are from a very limited number of factories that sell to almost everyone in the world. And so when you really get down to brass tacks, you'll find that they're like something, you know, like 15 cents to 20 cents a diode for a lot of these LEDs, and they're flat. They're like a stamp. And if you look in like a Fluval light, you figure they're paying, you know, 15 to 25 cents or whatever. They might be buying it, like I said, like it may not be Cree that actually sells them the light. They may not buy bulk enough as an aquarium company. So they may need to buy it from a Cree wholesaler broker type company. So it might be that they're paying 60 cents a piece and the middleman keeps the money. But at the end of the day, almost all aquarium lights have either these weak cool or warm lights that are pennies to make diode wise, or they're that next step up. When you get to the ADA stuff, there are some exceptions. Also, when you get to like the saltwater tanks, you get into some exceptions and some different lighting setups and things. But it's interesting because you're only going to be able to cram either more of those diodes into there or more power across those diodes. And it's really down to the casing and the software on a light after a certain point, right? So you've got your like entry level, and you're always going to see that stuff. You can even get really good bright light on a decent diode. So like the floodlight hack is what I call it. When you go out and you look for the Cree LED mark, I always look for that. It's not always listed, but a lot of times you can see on the back, it'll say CREE, all in bold letters, in capital bold letters, somewhere down low on the box or whatever. And it'll say Cree diodes or Cree LED. No matter what the actual brand of light is, you'll go Home Depot, Lowe's, Maynard's, whatever, and Menards, whatever, Walmart, and you get an indoor-outdoor floodlight. And that thing, if you get it at the right warmth, so somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 or 5,500 to 7,000 is really the range you could plausibly use and not probably end up with a total disaster. I think 6,500 is the ideal personally. Some people will say 6,000 is a better blue sky day kind of option, but that's a nice balance between warm and cool. You're not going to get just a ton of algae, but those lights, you can pump a ton of energy and a ton of electricity through those diodes. They can glow very bright, and they may be only $15. You may have to buy one for every square foot of your tank, but that will be a very high light tank. It's just not truly full spectrum either. So that's where if you already have that and then you want to add CO2, you could make a compromise and say, I can't afford to do both. But generally, I say if you're going to run CO2, if you're going to run super high lights, if you're going to run fertilizers other than a tablet or a once a month dosing kind of thing, or if you're doing water changes weekly, I understand if you add a pump or two every water change, I get that. But if you're not going to be doing any one of those things, like I say, either do it all or don't do it. Like either have it lower tech and don't let it be a headache. don't get the highlight, don't get and lighting is one of the exceptions where you can dial it in if you know your tank and if you understand how algae works somewhat and your water chemistry, your tanks, you've got lots of plants in there. You do use a substrate. You don't need to have a substrate, but you're going to do a lot better. You're either going to need to do a lot of water changes and have good flow and aeration, or you're going to need to have substrate with nutrients. It's kind of like you can either have a quick moving tank with lots of water turnover and highlight and grow some pretty plants, or you can have a medium amount of water turnover and lots of plants and a medium to highlight, CO2 and ferts and grow incredible plants. But if you want to do anything between those things, usually you're going to hit problems like, bang, we have algae blooms all the time. Every time I add the ferts, I get an algae bloom for a week or two, and then I have to back off. And I get it. I've been in that same spot. And yeah, Stephen is saying here, I always recommend dimmable lights. The single most important thing to control, thing we must be able to control. Yeah. So I say you can get a dimmer switch for a lot of lights, even if they don't sell them with one. And so, yeah, I think that's interesting. And somebody else said, I want, I want to do the pleco with a sponge filter and lots of aquarium plants and lots of house plants. You can do that. The plecos are going to make a lot of poo. When animals make a lot of poo, I mean, if you just have 1 or 2 plecos, it's going to be fine. But if you have like 5 or 6 full-grown plecos in like a 55 or a 75, if you're breeding them, if you're growing out plecos, holy cow, then you need to figure something out. But when that happens, I think it's best to have flow and to not have it planted all to bejeebus. I think you should have flow and have a canister filter or hang off the back filter, but probably a canister filter, because a sponge filter isn't going to do the same job picking up the big chunks of poo. Whereas if you have good flow targeted and it's at the bottom of most spots, then either the fish rutting around in the substrate, or your power heads, or your flow from your canister inflow and outflow should pick up a lot more of those big chunks and curlicues of poo and stuff that happen with those bigger fish. And that's true with big predatory fish as well. Definitely. And appreciate that, Aquatic Life. Say, make sure to like the video. It will help Alex. It will help me. It will. I would love to throw some Hillstream loaches in. Oh yeah, and yeah, definitely. Somebody, who was it? It was Oliver Knott. That's who it was. Oliver Knott just did a video on his channel in his shorts section that was about this tank. I think it's in Germany, but it was set up, and it's a Hillstream tank, and it literally is a laminar flow tank set up to replicate Hillstream turnover. And it is fascinating looking. I think it's like $2,000 or something, but it was like maybe 28 gallons or something. As when I looked at the liters, and then I was kind of figuring it in my head, but I think it's something like 20 or 20, a little over 20 gallons, but it is basically like a long washboard, shallow tank with some rocks in it, and then a French style looking bottom drain with like slats and foam, I think, over it must be. And it was taking like the waste and everything and all going in one direction. It makes me wonder why we don't do that more often. I mean, I know it's not the inherently easiest mechanical thing to set up a tank with power heads and or outflow on one side and only or inflow on one side, flowing out of the filter setup down, and then it flowing across from either left to right or right to left, and having a slant to it even, and replicating a true hill stream. But man, I couldn't, obviously, I don't have the money. If I was a rich person, I would spend the money on it. But if they could get something like that, like set up for in the like $600 range, I think a lot of home aquarists would be willing to try it out. And I think we could probably get a lot of breeding and stuff that we never see usually, because laminar flow is also a very different kind of flow than flow when I've set it up in tanks and I've said, hey guys, this is my attempt at a hill stream tank, and I use a long tank and I use power heads and I push things along, and then I have very weak power heads at the very end that are crisscross. So I have two that are side by side pointing kind of into a beam, like a river flowing down the length of the tank if it's like a 30 long. And then at the far other end of the 30 long, I'll have two more filter power heads rather, or impellers ripped out of filters. Usually I've used shrimp filters from Oase or something like that, and I've literally just ripped the foam off and used the little tiny, you can use them as a fountain, or you can, you know, like as a fountain pump, but they're just little pumps basically, and they turn over for like a 2.5 or 5 gallon tank. They're very tiny, but I use those as little micro power heads to then, so those bigger jets, they point, in most of my setups, I've pointed them down slightly, so the water's kind of going down like that, and then the return water is actually coming back, and I put the heater on the far end so that in theory the water's heating up as it moves down to the far end, and as it heats up there's like a natural convection loop kind of happening. It's probably more in theory, it's hopeful or wishful thinking, but I thought that was pretty cool. You know, when I saw that they set that up as an actual thing you could buy, you know, or whatnot, as a unit. Why does it keep getting stinky? Okay, Aquatic Life says, I took out the gravel of my long fin super red tank because it is stinky. The gravel, well, gravel is very stinky if you do not have a good set of bacteria breaking it down. Also, gravel will be very stinky if you only have fish waste. In nature, when is it only fish waste? Not very often. Just like human waste smells awful in like a sewage treatment plant or something. But if you're out camping and you put that in the woods and everyone just kind of digs a hole and buries one time, even if they don't bury it deep, that with the smell of leaves decaying and logs and moss and all this, you know, all these things, life and death in the forest, it's not so bad in little concentrations. But when you've got a whole tank with plecos doing their thing, with meat eating or larger body mass carnivores, you know, Oscars or red devils or green, you know, whatever, green terrors, things like that, you're going to end up with a more, well, there's more ammonia per gram, or however you want to look at that, per cubic cubic liter or cubic centimeter of fluid. But yeah, you're gonna end up with more cubic milliliter, I guess is how you'd say that, right? I guess all milliliters are cubic anyways. Whatever, you get my point. There's more ammonia and there's more of exactly what they ate, basically just breaking down. Whereas if you can get a diverse flora and fauna, you get plants that are falling into your gravel. You have not just gravel, but actually voids down in the gravel for different density levels of your waste to make their way down. Things like having 3 inches of gravel even rather than 1 inch of gravel. That will allow then your fish waste to settle, and the finest, siltiest, like dusty stuff is going to make its way into the tiny little cracks and things with Brownian motion, and just with like the tank's microcurrents and things like that. And the bigger chunks and denser stuff will also, if it's dense, it's going to make its way down too. But the lighter stuff will then kind of sift upward. in theory over time. But bacteria, archaea, fungi, microorganisms, even things like planaria, hydra, scuds, things like that, they're going to munch on that stuff and probably end up in your aquarium at some point. Snails, and you're actually getting a nice favor done by them, if so. But if you have a very sterile tank, and by that I mean you don't allow bacteria, you've medicated that tank, you keep plecos in that tank, there's no soil, there's no aqua soil, there's not a bunch of plant roots that are going to be eating and using that, there's not little critters like bugs and worms and detritus worms and nematodes and single cell amoebas eating and breaking down that stuff into its constituent compounds, it's gonna be stinkier, and it's also going to produce more ammonia, which then turns into nitrite, which then turns into nitrate eventually, right? And so you got to do a lot more water changes. And a lot of times people do a bunch of water changes, but they don't get down into the gravel. And if you only have like an inch of gravel, I'm sorry, but the only thing you can do is really lots of water changes and gravel vacuuming. And that's gonna stink because it's stinky, and that will remain stinky probably. Now, if you want a biological ecosystem where you don't need to disrupt the gravel, you don't need all the crazy filtration, you can set it up that way, but you just can't stock it with a ton of plecos. And you also, you can't stock it with a ton of carnivores. You need a bigger space for that. But you can keep a bunch of little nanofish, a bunch of little tetras, things like that. And you can have a tank where, like the one behind me, like both of these actually, I almost never do anything other than scrape the front glass and do water top-offs when it evaporates. That's it. I haven't even cleaned the canister filter. I waited a year at a time in between on the big tank behind me here. I literally wait 7 to 8 months until it starts slowing down. And if I can then rock it and shake it and a clump comes out of like this moldy stuff that was stuck in the filter tubing and piping, I'll just say, okay, I'll run it till it gets stuck and until it slows down, and then I'll clean it all again. But yes, there is a video that I made called "Why Does My Tank Smell?" or "What's that smell in my aquarium or coming from my aquarium?" And that video tells you there's also chemicals like putrescine and like there's another one that's really gross. There's putrescine, and then there's one that has a name that's like not morgue, but something like that. It has like an M or either rotting core. Anyways, it has to do with like rotting smells. And putrescine is where like the word putrid, same root. It's when something goes bad. Also, the methane smells. A lot of organic life has a lot of, well, hydrogen, helium, carbon, oxygen, and sulfur, and it's going to have a lot of those things, and nitrogen too. And it's when it breaks down, that sulfur is a very it's very likely to form a gas or a sulfur ring, just like carbon is likely to form a ring with other organic compounds. And sulfur can make some real stinky gases, CO2 and O2, they are stinky when things break down, or CO2 and O2 aren't stinky when things break down, but they are released in large amounts. Methane can be stinky, obviously, or the smells associated with it end up being really stinky too. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you want a lot of fish, you're gonna need to do a lot of care and a lot of work on it. And that's why in the past, we told all new aquarists that no matter what, you got to do your water changes and your gravel vacs. Well, then when Planet tanks started coming around, people started realizing, well, I only have like 2 or 3 angelfish and a 55, and then like maybe 30 or 40 tetras and other little, pencil fish and stuff. And that may sound like a lot of fish, but literally all those fish may not even equal the weight of one Oscar or one large pleco if you were to like put them on a scale. And so think about the difference, especially in waste. Like when an animal is larger by scale than those fish, they also don't as effectively metabolize the meal. So they're eating these very high protein, usually meals, worms, blood worms, stuff that's rich. And a lot of that stuff is going to rot too, or get missed. And that is also what's breaking down. So yeah, let's see here. Sulfur is easier to bond with than nitrogen, for sure. Yeah. And nitrous oxide is one of the compounds that we were joking about. Laughing gas that comes out of things rotting. Yes, and ozone is used in big public aquariums and wastewater treatment. Yeah, ozone, O2 is another good one. Also, humans can smell ozone, and we like the smell generally. We can smell it stronger than a shark can smell blood in the ocean. We have evolved to smell that ozone. We love it. It tells us there's water that's fresh and or moving nearby. Usually it's either from rain and like petrichor and the smell of the rain falling on after a hot day or a long dry spell, and that smell of it falling on dirt and or like concrete. Also, there's the smell if you're out in a desert or a hot place that water releases when the humidity drops below like 20% in a brutal desert, Death Valley or the Sahara or something like that. People can really smell those. Yes, exactly. Like Aaron says. So guys, I really wanted to also say something which really I was really crushed to hear this, but and I don't want to be a bummer today, and it doesn't need to be a bummer because we should celebrate what he brought us in this community and the time we had with him. But Jacob Thompson, he passed away on the 7th of November. And Jacob was somebody that I've met over the last 2 or 3 years. And he was somebody that in my head I thought of as, he's a young guy studying in the world of this stuff. I knew he'd had his health with autoimmune issues challenge his ability to go to school and get a degree, for instance, but that he was going to Ohio State University, go Buckeyes. My wife grew up out in the same exact suburb by some odd chance, and he may or may not have. I didn't ever inquire because I felt like it was rude. And it didn't matter anyways. But just to give you a vibe, if you watch his stuff, I think he might have been a little bit on the spectrum, autistically or Asperger, at least with the having an obsession in a way that was like almost unhuman, in how obsessed he could get. And I recognize, I sympathize with that. I have OCD. Whether it is a form of a very, very mild Asperger's, I don't know. They have never officially diagnosed me with that, but I have been diagnosed many times by psychologists with OCD, and compulsive thoughts and getting obsessed with things. And even like at one point they thought I was bipolar when I was young, because I would get so obsessed and like focused that I wouldn't sleep, I wouldn't eat, I would paint, or I would read about a subject. And he was a guy who was all about learning and educating, but he definitely so I say that as not at all any sort of shade or any sort of like he was a weird dude. No, I say that in the best way possible, meaning that if he was going to read about something, he's going to like track down experts and he's going to like read cited papers, and like we needed that so freaking bad. Like Rebecca Bentley, Stephen P 2003 right there in the chat, who's more like my age. But we need the youngins in school. We need new YouTubers who aren't just about like eating Tide Pods and feeding steaks to their piranhas. I love piranhas, but I mean like not about the spectacle and more about the actual incredible complexities and fascinations that occur within our aquariums or within nature. And he definitely was able to concisely and precisely deliver very, very complex ideas in a way that I understood. And I think he was getting better at even like kind of reducing those down into like short form that anybody could understand. And that's something I've really struggled with. I've always been way too verbose, way too wordy, way too probably beat it over the head 30 times. But I just wanted to say that, we lost Jacob. And Jacob was somebody who was very, very similar to me in that he confided, and it wasn't a big secret, but he confided that he was in so much pain a lot of his life with his autoimmune stuff. And his weight would fluctuate, and he found a way where he had, lost a bunch of weight, and he was like eating a diet that made him feel better, and he was lifting weights. He looked, really healthy. He really did. And I thought he was doing really well. And freaking autoimmune issues. Something went wrong. I don't know what yet, but he didn't make it on the 7th. And I spoke with him on the 6th, maybe even into the 7th. We were talking, and I, we talked about working together and having him on the channel even. And I was really, really rooting for this guy because of how he would present things, and because I saw him as somebody like about 10 years, a little more younger than me, and that was going to go get the credentials and going to be somebody, so anyways, he is somebody, and he made over 300 videos that you can still go see. And so I want to shout him out. I did a post in the community section under posts, and you can go see a 2-hour chat he had with Cameron over on the Fish Room from New Zealand, another great YouTuber, kind of does more nerdy, more like vetted professionals. And so that says something that he interviewed this guy 3 years ago, as an expert in the title. And, he, Jacob asked me how he dealt with how he could deal with all the people now that he had a channel with over 1,000 subscribers, how he could handle the pain of his day on days when he couldn't barely get out of bed, and that posting may seem like it's an easy thing to do, typing, right? But try that when someone's putting a nail through your foot right? You're not going to be wanting to type. You're literally curled up in bed and you're rocking yourself trying not to think about that. And years and months of this, it wears on people in ways that age you and that do things to your mind. And it breaks some people, it makes some people. It's hard. And until you've been through chronic long-term pain, let alone the disabilities and things that come with that, like, oh, today just not going to be able to walk. Oh, today can't lift anything. And this kid dealt with that from a young age, and he still went to go get his degree and to become, to be someone that was still on this passionate journey and still making aquascapes. And I remember he messaged me and he said, man, I'm really tired and I'm really worn out, and I'm trying to make at least, to write everyone back. And his channel was at around 1,000 or maybe 1,500 people, but his TikToks were getting popular as well. And he really wanted to write an entire essay and become friends with or a mentor to anyone willing to speak with him, because it meant so much to him that people like Tom Barr and, Dennis Wong, that these people that were into aquascaping was kind of his latest thing that he was into, that they were so into helping him and having time to speak with him. The fact that we have people in the hobby that are professors, that are running companies, yet they still stop and they talk to, teenagers or people in their 20s or amateurs that are 50 or whoever it may be, that has questions that may seem, totally silly to them. And they'll get them started, but then they go home and they do the work. They read the books that were suggested and so forth. And they come back and they say, what else, And that was Jacob, he was that. And he was also very kind. And he also was somebody who was constantly, I know some people annoy the hell out of me, I'm not going to lie, that think they have a fix or a solution for your autoimmune problems, and they mean well. And it's so sad that you get so jaded with people being like, try coconut oil rubbed on your knees twice a day. And I swear your rheumatoid arthritis or your lupus or whatever, it'll go away in 2 weeks. Or you just need to stop eating sugar, or you just need to stop eating glucose or gluten, whatever it may be. You don't think that somebody who's like on disability or crying or, whatever it may be, or just like can't even make it out of bed, that they hadn't probably tried some of those main things, those easy things. And yeah, if we have somebody in here who's a mod, if you could put his channel in, I would really, really appreciate it. Flamingo Hurricane, hello, and welcome. I'm glad you're here with us also. I'm just speaking on Jacob Thompson, who we just lost. And yeah, eat cinnamon, as Lara G says. You have hemophilia, Aaron says, and my blood doesn't clot. Most people say, yeah, my sister. Yeah, that's the other thing I hate too. Oh, you tell them, oh, I have lupus. And they're like, oh, yeah, I got that too. I got bit by a tick when I was camping. And I'm like, Lyme disease? Did you go to the doctor and get told? No, Dr. Oz about 7 years ago. It all made sense. Ever since then, I've been gargling with, apple cider vinegar, and now it's all fixed. You just need to try that. Yeah, I've heard so many things, especially when I worked at Trader Joe's, and I'd have like rashes all over my face and welts personally, and or I'd be all like literally bloated and look like a bad caricature of someone not having an allergy attack, and yeah, just it's crazy. Yeah, like you said, Aaron, yeah, people don't understand that, like, oh, you have a genetic disorder you were born with, like, in hemophilia is like, yeah, a cut could freaking kill me if I don't have the right, you know, care or medication, you know, whereas other people are like, um, you know, you know, a lot of people mean well, and that's the bummer about it is they mean well, but I think other people just want to inject their own life and or ability to know something, like, oh, I know the fix to this, I've got a cheat code, like it's a big conspiracy and all you have to do is cut out red dye 40 or whatever. And usually it's either not fixable or you don't think the pharmaceutical companies, I mean, granted, pharmaceutical companies can be really evil, but you don't think that they would have tried like eating more banana peels or something, or eating peanut butter or apple cider. You don't think they would have repackaged that and sold that as something expensive by now if they thought, if that really did cure everything. Yeah, MNC, Aaron, apparently MNC really does have a sister with hemophilia. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. The road to hell was paved with good intentions. You're in Smoky Point, Arlington, by the way. Oh, I thought you were gonna say. So I was reading, Aaron. I was reading your I was reading what you said, and I read the road to hell, and then I just saw Smoky Point and Arlington. I was like, hey, I-5's not that bad. Well, old Highway 99 is kind of crappy. Highway 99 is really crappy. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's raining hard up there right now. I don't know. Maybe it was a tough commute. And then I finally read, oh, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Sorry. Yeah, no, it's pretty up there. But Smoky Point, all I think of is like traffic now up there. Yeah, I'm a North Ender myself, though, in Shoreline, the very edge of the North End. Breeding guppies and shrimp greenhouse with rare plants too. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, same to all you guys out there, to MNC Aquatic sister, to Aaron, praying for a cure to hemophilia, as you said. Factor A. Oh, okay. You guys are chatting. But yeah, yeah, if you guys want to chat, go for it. We have a lot of folks in this community. We used to have a whole set aside meeting for PTSD, depression, anxiety. And we even had a breakaway group that was mostly military vets or active service of some sort. Like there were a few people that were like Doctors Without Borders, but like literally we left that, like we tried to respect that, like it was active combat participants or witnesses, and that's not that it's any that there's a better or worse kind of PTSD, but it's different than somebody, for instance, who was abused very badly or who lived in a very, very bad part of the world for a prolonged period of time, but that was their normal perception of life until a certain age, or you know, they lived in Chicago's South Side and they've seen tons of things. So you can still have the same psychological experience or disorder and impact, if that makes sense, but it can be from different triggers and different origins. And I'm not here to diminish or to judge anybody's, but like my point was that the channel had that for a while. Every single time we tried to even promote that, it got blacklisted. The fact that we'd open up a chat and I'd just kind of duck out and we'd do a members only kind of mode. But it is something that I want to bring back, or I want to maybe create some sort of forum for. Ryan just said, just watched Thompson Aquatics video on fish bag tying. My mind is blown. I can never get that crap down. Yeah, so he recently, his most recent video, I think, his last video, he posted was of how to tie a bag of fish. Like if you're at a fish store, if you work there, or if you're pulling fish out of your tank. And the way he explains this in like a minute and a half or whatever, he even has like, he's like, so take these two fingers, open them up like a peace sign, put them inside the bag. You know, like he is so meticulous. He's got it down. Like I said, it's very on the spectrum. And yet that's what we need. Like, that's what we need in a guide is like, oh, I never would have thought. Like, I would have been like, well, how do I do this? I'm just going to stick both hands in the bag and, you know, that. And I overlook these things. And it's that kind of attention to detail that I really thought, like, I learned something from every single one of his videos, even on stuff that I'm like, well, I already know that subject. Gosh. And then I'd watch it and I'd be like, oh, well, that's a little bit of trivia I didn't know. And so that's what I hope. Yeah, 3G Fangers. Yeah, Skipper's still in here. You know, that's something that I really hope, you know, that thanks, Addie. It's the same vibe with your vids on. I try in a lot of videos to have a little bit of trivia, or it might be on the screen, but like, hey, this is the same as this, or remember that video where we talked about this, or I have another video if you're interested in this side tangent about this. But for me, as a beginning aquarist, some of the coolest things were connecting science and engineering and biology and common sense, or just like lore, real world, real life things that I'd been taught or that I'd observed, and then being able to point them out in the hobby and be like, well, it's a thing that everyone knows about in the hobby. Oh, it's a thing that matters, like nitrogen and bacteria and like fermentation and like, you know, just all these different things that can go on. When we talk about like nitrogen fixation, we talk about that bacteria can do that, and that bacteria can team up with plants and exchange that in their roots. Very interesting things that can go on here. And you guys, I'm super stoked in the chat right now to see people saying, I need your email or I need your contact info. Love to see that. Please continue to do that, you guys. That's what we're about here, you know. Beto, are you headed out? Is that what's going on? I see you. I hope you have a wonderful night. What brings me into, I've got a low-tech 5-gallon for shrimp, and it's crazy seeing what new life pops up from week to week. Yes, if you have a shrimp tank, you will learn a lot more than a fish keeper will learn, because you will see all the things that fish kill. So you'll see the planaria, the hydra, the ostracods. You see all these life forms that you're like, where the heck did these come from? And they could have just been in the water from your aquarium stuff in the bag when you bought your shrimp. They could have been on you, eggs and just bacteria and little life forms and stuff. They could be on plants a lot of times. They can be on the actual shrimp in the exoskeleton or in its digestion. And voila, especially the older the aquarium is, the more little things get in there. And yeah, it's very very fascinating in my estimation, my mind. I think it's super califragilisticexpialidocious. Let's see here. Aaron, who you talking about? Aaron, I missed the who's got the good looking really O'Reilly. See Aquatics, IDE, like to know more. Unite under fishery. There's a few types. Let's see here. Zed Mata, hello. Hail Hydra. Hail Lord Hydra. Yeah. So anyways, what I was going to say, I don't know why. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. But before I draw things to an end tonight, you know, we got our Tuesday kind of chill stream. We're gonna have some guests soon. I know I keep saying that, but I really do have plans to have some guests soon. But let me turn this off for a sec. Oh, wow. Isn't that exciting background? We got my wall behind me. So thrilling. But what I wanted to just, you know, I have a little, I should have uploaded it to my actual, let's see how that's going to, let's see how this would look on the, how it'll show up on the other screen. I'll pull back so you guys can see it on both screens. But he looks all washed out when I'm that far. And this was his last aquascape. But I posted a picture with it, and it's got a picture he was proud of with how he's, well, now you see all my, this is what we were going to talk about today, and I got on a side tangent. So I'll just change the title. That's how Alex works. But one thing we were going to talk about was they found a new Danio species in Sri Lanka. Yay! Look at all the crazy Danios in Sri Lanka. The other thing was these aquascapes in these 60p with the twin star light and with the ADA light. There's a new ADA light that's going to be more affordable. But as you guys have probably heard, if you're watching the channel, I am getting a 60p setup. So it's going to be a 60p ADA tank, and I'm going to do a high-tech CO2, and we're going to set it up together. I'm going to go over how to set up the CO2, how to set up an ADA super jet. I think it's called, yeah, isn't that what it's called? A super jet canister filter, which is like a little tiny canister filter, but very streamlined. And we're going to do that together over the fall. And I'm very happy that they are going to sponsor that on the channel, that AFA and ADA, Aqua Design Amano, and out of Japan. They have a Malaysia, Singapore, you know, they have a lot of different places, but they don't have an official American store. So AFA is their headquarters, but also Moonlight Aquatics and Aquarium Zen here in Seattle are also their carriers. So Moonlight Aquatics, you got my discount. You can say Fishtoy 10 and get that 10% discount off his already outrageously low prices. Just like at Aquatic Arts, if you guys want like them beautiful colored amanos and stuff, or crabs, all that, Fishtoy 15. That's the only place I've been able to get you guys 15% off, which is killer. On top of, like, they had coolie loaches for $31 for 12 of them. And then you got 15% off on top of that. And then free shipping at $250. That was nuts. Anyways, I hope people took up the BOGO offers. There's actually anchorhead catfish right now, and there's a bunch of stuff going on through the month at Aquatic Arts. So I know this is a sales pitch, but it's honestly stuff that I'm excited about also using and or acquiring for this project. So guys, I have a vision, and I was going to share with you my vision. So let me just tell you it really quick. And I already kind of showed you some sketches and some ideas, but my thought for the big 60p project that's coming up, that I'll try to do some time-lapse footage of and things like that. The idea for it initially is to look like a flame with plants that are red and orange and like crimson right around the core, and to about mid-height, and then even taller than that, and behind that some orange plants, and then maybe a few wispy yellow trailing plants behind that, so it looks like a flame from a fire. And then ideally, if I can, I would like to get some boost that is like that kind of dark blackish green and burgundy or red and brown hue to it. So yeah. What will you get for lighting? I think the lighting I'm going to end up getting is going to be the Aqua Sky 2, I think is what it's going to be. Here, I can pull up right now. It's not all sealed in stone, but it's getting there. I do have an account with ADA set up, and I do have, hold on, I can do this, guys. I can do this. I can do this. Straight meditate like a Buddhist. Okay, so this is the set that and I won't just do this with my phone. This is absolutely obnoxious. I totally understand that. Let's see here. Come on, focus. Come on, buddy. You can do it. No, maybe you can't. Hold on. Let's see here. Can we get the brightness down and maybe that will work? Yeah, that kind of helps. Anyways, all the aqua soils and stuff, all the little starting powders, aqua soils, the sand or silty stuff, and then the aqua soil stuff that comes with it. But then also the light comes with the set, and the aquarium comes with the set. Then you got to buy the filter and or CO2 and or a stand. They're gonna send me the stand, the filter, and the CO2. So I am like set. And I think they give you a mat as well. Is that? Yeah, they give you a mat as well. But what I had, gosh, their designs that were being shown off for like what else Twin Star's been doing are beautiful. Let's see here. Hold on, guys. I know you're not seeing anything right now. I'm just trying to not make you sick by scrolling side. Here we go. So this right now is what I'm getting is that walnut thing. They're sending that. They're sending the ADA Superjet filter. They're sending the CO2 kit. That's the Archaea, not the ADA, but it is $229, and that's actually that comes with the 5-pound bottle and the regulator, the dual gauge. It also comes with the what do you call it? Of course, my phone turns itself off every 6 seconds. It also comes with like the line and all sorts of check valves and stuff. So I was impressed by that. And then there is the free delivery to your house, which that's half the battle. I used to want to buy an ADA tank so bad, but the delivery used to be literally like $600-700. Oh, and look at the protector on my screen's cracked. That's how you know I roll. But the ADA garden cube is what they're calling it, even though it's not a cube. Lost in translation. But this substrate campaign set with the Aqua Sky Aqua Sky RGB2 LED is going to be the one that it comes with. And so I am going to try all that stuff. I've worked with all those brands. I like all those brands. Twin Star is a brand that I like. I think it looks good. I love the light spectrum on it, actually probably more than ADA or even like Fluval and stuff. It grows plants well, but the wiring is soldered so cheaply that I have had to rewire every Twin Star light that I own. And yes, this tank will need more water changes, but I want to show you guys, like, this is how you set up a so-called high-tech tank. If you're wanting to get into it, I'm not going to do one that's like high tech. That's like, we're not going to do EI dosing. That's a headache. It's just going to be, if you want do your water change once a week or maybe even twice or once every 2 weeks, and maybe trim your plants then and scrape the front of the glass. That's the kind of level of commitment we're talking about here. But yeah. And the CO2, if you put too much CO2 in, will it gas your fish? Yes, it will. So you can't do that, and you want to put it on a switch at night so that it turns off ideally. Now, I've ran it as an experiment. If you're not running high CO2, you can run low CO2 to even kind of mid CO2, but I can run like a drop or it goes by bubbles, but a drop or a bubble per second on like a 15 or 20 gallon tank. I can run that just fine all through the night with lots of plants. And even though the plants are also putting out CO2 at night, if you have a hang off the back filter or a canister filter that's churning the water and also incorporating atmospheric air, usually you'll be okay. Now, it's when people are really cranking that CO2 to the max that they end up with problems. And it's usually when they do that and they overstock, or they do that and the water's very warm, and there's lots of things you can do that impact. Like if you have really warm water, there's less retention of oxygen. So those kind of things can happen. What stock am I going to put into that tank? We're going to talk all about that later. Lara G says, have you looked at Weak Aqua? I am getting a P1200 from Weak Aqua. I don't know them, or I haven't looked at that, but I will. I'm just right now, I'm literally going, I've never been quote unquote sponsored to build an aquascape. And nevertheless, by the American, distributors of ADA, UNS, Archaea, Twin Star, Kessel, these incredible brands, right, that I've looked up to for a long time. They know where I used to work, and they've seen pictures of some of my old scapes and stuff, and they've seen all my nature stuff. And so they were like, what would you do if you did an art piece or an installation with our gear? Like what could you do that would be different from most scapes? And I was like, I'm not going to do a Dutch scape. I'm not going to do a fully nature tank. It doesn't make sense to do the lasagna soil substrate. So I'm going to show another way that is the optimal way of growing plants. This is the Tom Barr, the Dennis Wong, 2-hour aquarist, the George Farmer, the people who are known for aquascaping and doing it well. This is how you will optimize plant growth, and your fish should be happy. I mean, ideally, but this is really more about like plant growth, trimming, and like what the science and technology. We've come to a point now where these debates are not really debates being had by the professionals. So like people say, oh, what substrate do you use? There's not a question. If you grow stem plants, you're going to do it within a range, but I mean, you're going to have CO2, you're going to have high light, you might have a few highlights, you may have different warmths and different, different frequencies and things of each light, or one light that has all of them, or the brand you use. But at the end of the day, whether you do estimative index dosing, or you do constant dosing, or you don't dose, but you just use the substrate and then you dose as needed, whatever it may be, these things they're settled. Now, are there 40, 50, 60 other ways to keep fish that are less work, that are cheaper, that don't look the same? Of course. And that's why my channel has spent like 8 years showing you guys the either inexpensive or natural way where you don't have to do as much work because of the autoimmune conditions, because of all that work, because I like to breed fish, and because I like to watch fish behavior more than almost anything about the hobby. That's why I like to see the fish interacting. And they don't do those things in a tank full of CO2 and other plants quite the same. But that is what that project will kind of embody. And it'll probably be, a bunch of episodes, like 8 or 10 episodes over 4 or 5 months, with the build and with the stocking, and then maybe a 10-minute video here for how to set up their canister filter and a review of their filter, how to set up. But I told them I'm going to be impartial. Like if there's something that I don't get or it's not intuitive or I don't like, I'm going to say it. If it's a bit expensive, I'm going to say it. Now, that being said, people know when they get into certain brands, this is the Rolex of watches, you know, this is the whatever. It may not be the very highest end, but it is the gold standard for showing someone, I have made it. I understand these things. And I have some money to flaunt about these things. And aquarium gear is no different. And I have kind of been turned off by that for a long time because of some of the personalities and things that come and go with that. But honestly, the things that the amount that has pushed forward the affordable hobby, like the fact that there's little CO2 kits, there's home DIY CO2 kits that you can build off of and use, and there's paintball canisters that you can use with adapters that are easy to buy rather than having to have a friend machine them for you like 15 years ago. This kind of stuff is what also is driving the hobby forward, because at the end of the day, these are fish that are pretty. Some of us, yes, keep them because we like care species, we like endangered species, we want to help with conservation and preservation. But at the end of the day, you go do that locally, or you move to an area, you get into a field and do the conservation that way. If you think that your money is best spent in aquariums with ornamental fish to do conservation, you're probably sorely mistaken. With a very few exceptions of like certain projects, like they get worked on, like the tang being bred in captivity. And if you're someone who's going to buy tang for the Cincinnati Zoo or something every month, sure, you might be making a real push towards that getting done. But my point is that this is an aesthetic hobby. This is an opinionated hobby of, I like this look. And sometimes that's all the justification needed. And rimless tanks, why do you have a rimless tank? Well, why do you have a rim on your tank? Like, you know, it's in Europe. I'm going to leave you with this because I can't talk all night, but I do love you guys and I appreciate you. Oh, cool. Fritz Lang, check for a distributor, Riverist. I'll sponsor you for some dark hell rocks and gravel. I do need to figure out what my hardscape's going to be for that tank. I'm going to do aqua soil, I know, but I need to figure out what wood and what. I was thinking maybe manzanita or black forest wood, and I was thinking you know, either a dark rock or I don't know yet for sure on the rock, but that's cool. If there's something to check out, I will check it out for sure. Email me too, just if you want. My email is Alexander. I wonder if this will show up in both places. Alexander. That's not Alexander. Alexander J. Williamson at gmail.com. So hit me up there if you have a spot you'd like me to check out for sure. But I had the last story I'm going to tell you is there's a little so I always wanted a rimless tank, and when I got one 13 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was, I was beside myself. They're really expensive. You know, the shipping is more than the tank itself because it's fragile and they break, and when they ship it to a wholesaler or an aquarium store, they actually nest the tanks like Russian dolls, but they can't do that with the big tank when they send it to your house. So it's in like a wooden pallet sometimes. Luckily, I had a store where I got it and I bought a used one, and I had a viewer who was helping me. And so it was like $279, which to me was the most expensive tank ever, right? Because I was used to the $1 per gallon and 20 gallon type tanks. But I got that tank and I thought that was amazing. Well, all my other tanks at the time, back when the channel was new, were all tanks with rims. I only had the one rimless tank. And the one rimless tank was in the living room, and it was kind of on display separate. And this girl in Hungary, I want to say, it's either Hungary or Croatia, she said, "Where do you get those cool braced tanks?" And I said, "Braced tanks? Like, sorry, I don't understand your meaning." And I thought that was a weird comment. I didn't have a lot of followers, so it stuck with me. But then all of a sudden, she sends me a picture about a week later, and she goes, "I made one from scratch. I made an American style tank." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, I know a Euro brace tank," and I'm sending her back. Well, that's like kind of the meta frame tank that we use in America that caught on, that had the chrome all the way around, kind of that now we do with plastic because it's cheaper, and now we don't do it on the horizontal sides necessarily. Some tanks still have that. Some have a middle brace across the top, others don't, but we don't do the rimless thing made in America here that much anymore. We do acrylic too, but I was kind of racking my brain thinking, what is she talking about still? She sends me a picture, and she found PVC plastic from something like a pallet, and she had used an electric hot knife and cut it off, and she made herself a whatever, I think it was like a 60-liter tank or 80-liter tank, I think is what it was. And she made braces out of plastic for it because she thought that looked cool, because in Europe she couldn't find them anywhere. She could only find rimless tanks. And so it's all a matter of perspective, like what is the more fancy or decorative or rare thing. But at the end of the day, I feel like I want to show this channel something new than what I've been doing exclusively with the more no filtration, low filtration, breeding in a colony, never do a water change. My videos all have that info now, right? Those videos will be there, and you can go look at them. And I love them, and I still keep a lot of tanks like that. That's how I will. That's how I survived. That's how the fish survived through these illnesses. But now I think it'll be fun to do one kind of high tech and compare and contrast and show off the differences and how I do both, since to show you like there's no one right way. There's lots of different ways. But you guys, I really appreciate you. Those peppermint plecos, I think Moonlight Aquatic has them. Use the code Fishtoy10 for a big discount. But go to Moonlight Aquatic and check it out. See if he's got them. He had a bunch of the peppermint, very, very cute plecos. He had a lot of really nice plecos in there last time. He was selling down on them. Like, he was selling out of them quickly. Tropical Fish Co. Hey, Alex. I know you are almost done. I just have been lurking doing emails. Just wanted to pop up and say we have the website up and running. Tropical Fish Co. Website up and running. Hold on. What website? Now I'm, or Tropical Fish Company. Hey Mick, sorry I gotta head out soon, but anyways, we'll talk more. Come back and tell me what's up, what I'm missing. I'm probably like totally spacing on something. But if you need to get a hold of me, y'all know where to find me. And oh, thank you so much. Also, somebody gave out, you guys, and I missed it, and I meant to say, oh, thank you. And it was Swamp Rabbit Aquatics. Thank you so much for giving out the memberships. Also, James just popped in with a super chat, super sticker. Thank you very much, James, brother. I appreciate it, man. I really do. That's very appreciated of you. Helps keep the lights on. Oh, now it's Chris at Tropical Fish Co. See, Tropical Fish Co. I've got too many things in my head that have a very similar name, and now I'm a little like I'm thinking of 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, wait, which thing is it that I'm supposed to be? So message me and set me straight, because I'm a little lost, and I got to get off of this because of that. Uh-oh. James, you're worried? Oh no, am I not making sense? It's just because I actually don't know where what's going on. I don't know what happened in the chat. The chat got very confusing. And we also have they are a new online shop. Oh, okay. Because Jody P also had a shop that I was down in Florida that I knew about that, and also redfishbluefish.shop just built a new website, and I was like, does it have a new name that's similar to that? So I know there's a lot of shops out there that have oh, thank you, James. I appreciate that, brother. I do appreciate that. You guys, I got to get out of here. Robert, also, while I see you there, Robert, same Jody P, but different location, right? I know. Yeah. So that's why I got a little turned around. And then there's Redfish Bluefish, who's another friend who just messaged me this afternoon. Can you check out Redfish Bluefish? We have a new site running, and Tropical Fish Co. is in Iowa. So then there's also the Tropical Fish Co. that's in South Carolina. So that is why I was oh, okay. Tropical Fish Co. is Jody P. and Christopher Junkin's new shop. Big Steve's Glass Boxes. Okay. Well, I have to wind this up, but please, Chris, thank you, man. And let me know. We'll go explore your site. We'll check it out. Let me know. And I'll do it when I'm not in this weird vertical and horizontal mode. Because and Big Steve, thank you very much for the super chat. That was unnecessary, but thank you. As I was saying, yeah, we're in this test mode right now where we're streaming 2 different delayed things with 2 different chats. Next time we'll just do a normal chat on Friday, and maybe we even do a pop-up and check out a new fish store for folks to peruse as well. And I can just give a live review. And if your store is stinky pinky poo, then I'll say you have a stinky pinky poo store. And if it's awesome, then I'll say so. No, I'm sure it's good. All right, you guys. But Robert, I was going to say, while you're here, I read the email you sent. Thank you. Appreciate it. Always like the stuff you send my way. But yeah, I didn't know, and then I know. Now I know. Honey, I love you. You're home now. Ladies and gentlemen, the wife. Ladies and gentlemen, my ex-wife, if I don't get off of this soon. All right, you guys, I'm gonna take off, and I will be back soon. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out, for being here. Oh, well, that's all, folks. I guess the camera just jumped off the laptop. So have a good night, everybody, and take care of your critters. Take care of the people around you. And, of course, take care of yourself, or you can't do any of that. Have a wonderful night, you guys, and take care. Bye-bye. Oh, weird. It says, do you want to go live? Wow, now I'm real confused because I am live. What happens when I click it? Oh, no. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, you guys are clearly all here, so I'm going to try leaving.